All right, so that's 2 bags of undefined groceries and 1 stack of Barbra Streisand LPs. It'll be about $17.95.
Why, hello there, unnecessary side character. Would you like to come inside and join us at our party?
I mean, I'm still on the clock, but sure.
The party's right down this hallway.
House. House man? Man in the house.
Ill-conceived and an unnecessary money grab?
Jesus Christ, we just watched it. It's H2O. The answer is H2O.
You're not supposed to talk. That's against the rules. Oh, hi there. I'm the guy who just stopped by with groceries and you didn't really need. It looks like you're supposed to start a podcast. You should probably do that.
Thanks, Steve, the typical body count guy. What would we do without you? Hi, I'm Maddy.
And I'm Corey.
And this is
Hallow-Holics Anonymous, a show dedicated to all things horror and occasionally Halloween.
Now, before we actually start the episode...
Especially Halloween right now. Yeah. Sorry.
It is the final episode, guys, before we do a small feature on the new film coming out, which will already be out by the time this episode is up.
Oh my God, have we treaded through nightmares to get this episode to you. We watched the 2 worst Halloween movies ever made.
These last 2 movies really pushed Halloween to the bottom of the franchise pile for me.
For sure. I'm angry. Like, I'm getting angry, and I think I'm going to get angrier when we actually talk about them.
And I'm sorry. John Waters was on the radio the other day, and he said there's pretty much no such thing as a bad movie if you figure out the right thing to focus on. If you just pick a lamp in a terrible movie and you just make the movie all about lamps, it's one of the best movies on the planet. So I should have just picked a lamp, honestly.
I mean, and we'll get to this too, but they all have good moments, I guess, but those good moments aren't, they're just eclipsed by these bad character ruining moments and these cheesy rip-off moments.
It was exhausting.
It really was.
On a lighter note, I just got the first issue of the new Fangoria.
Ooh, yeah, Maddy, why don't you tell us about this new Fango magazine?
It's incredible. The pages are printed on cardstock. I thought at first, before I got it, that maybe $60 for a quarterly magazine might be a bit extreme. But now that I've got it, it's like an actual book. And I only found 1 ad in it for a special effects class and a George Romero's kind of like makeup class or something. So that actually made complete sense, and it was really cool. It's so good. I started reading the articles, and all of them, right off the bat, are really optimistic about the future of horror and the future of Fangoria. It's a perfect rebirth for what I frankly consider a new renaissance in horror right now, and I don't think that's an overstatement.
No, I don't either. And I'm really glad to hear it, because the whole reason I stopped reading, the whole reason I jumped ship from Fangoria to Rue Morgue was because I felt like Rue Morgue was being more objective, and Fangoria was starting to maybe like, yeah, we'll mention your movie for some ad money, that kind of thing. So with this whole relaunch and the fact that there aren't any ads like in the magazine itself, like I'm kind of jealous I didn't buy it now. I might have to go back and see if I can still get this issue and start it.
I don't think it's too late. I mean, it's really a fantastic investment. I'm going to keep it. I think I will probably keep subscribing from now on ever.
Sweet.
Yeah.
So when you get old, you can have like the stack of National Geographics we had when I was a kid. You can have a stack of Fango for your children.
It's no joke. This Fangoria magazine, if all of them are going to be this good, the paper's even higher quality than National Geographic.
Oh, wow.
It's like binding.
I noticed, and I'm going to check it again once we get to the coffin box, but I noticed a higher paper quality in this month's Rue Morgue magazine. I don't know if I'm going crazy or not. I guess I'll have to double check with my other magazines.
Yeah, they might be becoming competitive. Who knows? But I will say this. There's an interesting article on the new Halloween I found very interesting. There's some great articles on some older films, a bunch of newer films. I'm slowly trying to make my way through it because, guys, it's as thick as a book. So there's a lot to read in this issue. And there's even actually an article I haven't finished reading, but it had some great pictures of the new Suspiria movie. And I know I've been saying I won't be able to watch it, but after seeing these pictures, I'm going to have to see Suspiria in theaters. It looks good.
It does. I reluctantly am now kind of excited for it. Did you watch the trailer?
I did watch the trailer. I think I had made a gripe about the fact that she was imitating the actress's old hand gestures that she always did when she couldn't remember her lines.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually think we already talked about this too.
There's something else we need to talk about.
Yes, while we're on the topic of subscription services, I have this bi-month, I don't even know anymore because I feel like I just got a Coffin Box like 2 weeks ago and I have another one now. But yeah, we're going to go through this whatever's Coffin Box, this timeline's Coffin Box. Let's go with that. Yeah, so they all come with Rue Morgue magazine. There's a big feature on Night of the Living Dead. There's an article on Fright Rags, which is kind of cool.
I can't convince myself to drop $25 or $30 on a t-shirt, but if I was, I would go with Fright Rags.
Yeah, I have tried. I mean, I just dropped $50 on a hoodie, but I really, really needed a new hoodie. So this is also the 21st anniversary Halloween issue, which makes me feel old, dude, because I remember 21 years again when I'm like, hey, there's this new magazine coming out called Rue Morgue. I'm going to have to check it out. And it was super hard to find in stores in small towns back then. You know, now that I'm messing with it, it feels like the cover's a little more thicker. The paper's more like magazine-y, but it's still thick magazine-y.
Well, they've got a lot more to offer. I mean, since they come with Coffin Box, so they got a bunch of cool stuff coming with them, too.
Yeah, it's true, and we're going to get to that now. Rue Morgue's also really good for, and I don't know if let me know if Fangoria is the same way, but I found a lot of really good bands in Rue Morgue magazine. Like, I wouldn't have discovered that band, The Horrors, if it wasn't for Rue Morgue, like, 10 years ago.
So far, what I'm reading, it's primarily devoted to movies, independent cinema, and classic cinema, from the articles I've gone through.
Okay, that's cool. Well, let me know if there's like a music section, because that's definitely going to be a selling point for me, too.
Yeah, definitely. I'll let you know.
Coffin Box, and I mentioned it, Coffin Box and Horror Pack are all pop-up packs. They're by the same people. But they've been having some trouble with their movies. I mentioned it with Horror Pack last episode or a couple episodes ago, and there was an issue with Coffin Box as well. And they were like, sorry, you know, it was super cool. They were real communicative about it again. They're like, we're sorry, it's going to be a little bit late. We're going to throw some extra stuff in it. And I'm not super stoked about the extra stuff, but it was a nice gesture anyways. So they sent me the t-shirt this month is sort of, and these pictures they'll all be up on our blog. They sent me a Dracula t-shirt. It's this sort of cool, artsy, like, minimalist shadow, and there's some wolves underneath him. He's like standing on this hill, and there's a bat and like a moon that is yellow, so it looks like a sun. It's kind of weird.
That sounds pretty sweet.
Yeah, the only problem with it is it's a gray t-shirt. And yeah, I mean, I'll wear it. I've been trying to branch out into colors more recently, so we'll see how that goes. All right, the movie this month. Yeah, finally, after 30 years. The Coffin Box movie is The Exorcism of Molly Hartley, which is, I guess is a sequel to The Haunting of Molly Hartley. I haven't seen either. Molly Hartley is all grown up, but the unholy demon inside her still lives on in this all-new unrated sequel that takes terror to the next level. 6 years after graduating high school and discovering that a secret pact oh, I don't want to read that because that's going to ruin the movie for me. Never mind. It's about some chick who needs an exorcism who's not in high school anymore.
I'm kind of tired of that unrated gimmick.
Yo, yeah, it's a bunch of crap. I'm going to replace the magazine. I have no space. This is terrible.
For listeners who are unaware, Corey has had chaos at his desk all night. Every time he puts one thing down, another falls off.
Yeah, I added an extra piece to my music studio recently, an Akai Fire, which is actually pretty cool, but you guys are here for horror, not sound gear, so. But now I don't have any room for anything else. Okay, so the extra stuff. They sent me this picture of Michael Myers and Jason Voorhees drinking smoothies, like just chilling.
Like from the same glass with two straws, or?
No, they each have their own. Jason might have some kind of mango thing. Either that or it's like a frozen coffee. It might be frozen coffee.
Are they holding hands?
Like, no, they're milkshakes. No, they're just kind of chilling like bros. Like Michael's got this sort of like proud look on his mask. I don't know.
Is there a glint in Jason's eye?
No, Jason kind of looks like he's bored with Michael, which is kind of how I feel about him after these last two movies. So I relate, Jason. I mean, I can say a lot of things about your later films, but I was never bored when I was watching them.
I really want to do a little short film skit where they all sit together and they try to talk about their movies. Michael can't defend himself. Jason can't defend himself because they can't talk. So basically
they just like bang the table every once in a while.
Yeah.
All right, and that's signed by somebody. I have no idea who. thesuperghoul.com. So apparently this is like an art thing. And I'll check it out some other time. The next thing I'm holding is a signed exclusive print from cameocreeps.com. So this is weird too. And again, you'll see a picture of it, guys. It says The Great Cthulhu's Oodlevan. So that's CTHULOUIS OOOLDVON.
Old one. Cthulhu's old one. Cthulhu old one.
Oh, the old one. Yeah, okay, I get it now. It's like a picture of a framed picture of Cthulhu dressed like an Italian royalty or something. But it's got Coffin Box written on it. It's got Cameo Creeps written on it. It's got this little original authentic sticker on it. And it's not like it's signed by somebody, but it doesn't actually look like art. It looks like a little advertisement piece. But again, whatever. It's cool. I paid like $20 for all this stuff. I'm okay with it. I mean, this is all good stuff, right? I just got a new closet/locker thing in my room, and it'll be a good thing to stick to it eventually. So the final thing is this Twilight Zone retro action figure. You'll probably understand this a little more than I do. It's a little army guy named Hanson from episode 80, A Quality of Mercy. And I wonder if they sent us all different ones or if we all got Hanson this month. I'm going to have to watch some other unboxing videos to find out. Because there's a bunch more. You can get the nurse from that famous Ugly People episode. The bandaged patient from that. The doctor from that. The dude with the glasses from the Nuke episode. Santa Claus from some episode involving Santa Claus. I have no idea. Some dude in a dummy. A clown with an umbrella. A hobo. Fella named John Carter, a ballerina. I don't watch enough Twilight Zone. That's what I'm realizing here. So yeah, this wasn't the coolest coffin box I ever got, but I mean, I got another t-shirt, I'm going to keep the subscription. I'm happy with it.
Yeah, as long as you get at least a good shirt and a good magazine, it pays off, right?
Oh, totally. And considering I'm trying to sort of up my wardrobe game a little bit, new t-shirts are really helping. I'm trying not to wear the same t-shirts that are now brown that used to be black, full of holes.
Now that the night is winding down, guys, I think it's time we all sing a little song.
No.
But I wrote.
No. Delivery guy, why don't you go down into the basement and grab us some more beer?
That's a weird place to keep your beer.
If you think about it at all, then yes, it is very weird and just a little stupid. If you don't think, then it's perfectly normal.
Hey, I guess you're right.
So I want to bring up two more things real quick before we get into the movies, and I promise I'll make it real quick. If you haven't watched it yet, The Haunting of Hill House on Netflix is maybe one of the most fantastic pieces of horror cinema, streaming, TV, I don't know what to call it, but it's absolutely amazing. There are some jump scares, but there's some actual disturbing stuff. What's interesting, though, is it's more about people dealing with what they went through in the past. Like, nobody lives in Hill House in this. They're all dealing with what they saw when they did or what they denied seeing when they did. It's really, really interesting, and it's really tragic, and there's some, I was actually, viscerally affected at parts of this story. It was very strange. I don't want to go into too much detail about it, but it's very, very good, and I recommend you all see it. We should probably do a thing about it eventually, Maddie.
On that note, I'd also like to recommend The Curious Creations of Christine McConnell on Netflix because it's super cute. It's a cooking show with evil Muppets.
I'm excited. I'm going to watch an episode as soon as we're done recording.
Yeah, you will not likely be capable of cooking or preparing any of the things she makes because she's an expert baker and she does a lot of carving and crafting and sculpting. But again, it's super cute.
All right, the last thing I have, by the time this goes out, we will be right around the middle of Destiny's Halloween event called the Festival of the Lost. Destiny, the video game. They're doing this murder mystery quest line, which sounds really interesting, and you can get all these masks for completing objectives and stuff. It just sounds really, really interesting, and I'm very excited for a Halloween-y version of one of my favorite games. I'm sure you care so much about that, Maddie, because you play so many video games.
Well, you know me. I'm a regular video game hound.
That's a weird way to put it.
Actually, I was typing in the trailer link real quick.
Oh, okay. Oh, God, I don't even know I didn't even watch these trailers. They're probably crap. Everything about these movies is crap. It's all crap.
It's 1998
Callbacks,
in a remote
so throwback to
California
part 4
town
there.
at a secluded private school.
We could have a Halloween.
He drove to California. Where does Michael Myers get gasoline?
The way this man thinks. No booze, no drugs.
Where did they get all those candles?
Well, it's a Catholic school, isn't it?
One
Oh, that's
teacher
true. It probably is.
Yeah.
is living
I mean, you know how much
in fear.
Catholics love their
I'm
candles.
not who you think I am. I changed my name when I went into hiding.
I don't remember actually hearing this song in the movie at all.
My brother killed my sister.
I'm not sure it's in there a whole lot. Like, and they went a little more symphonic with the soundtrack. So
Enough, I can't take it, Mom. He's dead.
I would say the only thing I liked about this version of Michael
What's
is
he
he had a good walk.
Don't you think he would have shown up by now?
Was-
I don't know. This is a sick joke.
Now, the face of good and the face of evil will meet one last time.
Until October 19th of this year.
But this time, it's going to be a fight
Oh, now it looks like it's
to
pretty
the
sexy.
finish.
Oh, that is very
This
90s
summer.
music right there.
Terror
I felt
won't
bad
be
for the editor
taking
who had
a
to struggle to
vacation.
make this soundtrack.
Yeah. Oh, that weird one-handed pull-up. They did that in Resurrection too, as a homage to this
Halloween, I guess
ridiculous.
everyone is entitled to one good scare. I've had my share.
All right, so Halloween H2O. If you haven't been paying attention, that is part 7.
You already sound so bored. This is great. I'm
Forget
gonna stop moping about this. Let's just get through it.
forget everything you know about part 3 through 6. In H2O, Laurie Strode is back and alive. I'm not sure if she went under
Potentially a bad mother.
Yeah, I'm not sure if she went under witness protection, because there's definitely a news article in the beginning that implies she faked her death. And she's haunted by memories of Michael, while also haunted by her own alcoholism and her asshole son.
Oh, he is such a dick in this.
And that is the summary of H2O. It doesn't deserve anything more academic than that.
So I can't remember if I brought this up already, but there are two options that I hate equally about this movie's continuity. It's either that Laurie Strode is a shitty mom and she abandoned her daughter to live with an abusive and possibly diddly family in her murderous uncle's house and then went off to start a new family, or this is a completely new continuity that disregards everything after 2, which I hate equally.
Well, hold on to your panties, Corey, because I've got something that's going to blow your mind.
How did you know I wore panties? Like, I do that to have a secret against the world, Manny.
I can kind of hear them. They're silk, right?
Yeah, they're a little rustly.
There is a comic called Halloween Sam. Not Sam Hain, just Sam. Which apparently...
I really want this to be about a guy like just, I'm Halloween Sam. I'm here to tell you about why H2O sucks or why it fits into the universe.
He's dressed like a Mormon. He has a pumpkin for a head. It apparently manages to link the sequels together by explaining Michael's 20-year disappearance and what happened at Loomis. I might buy that soon to weigh in on my opinion, but there's another one from Chaos Comics that links Curse to H2O, but completely invalidates the next one, Resurrection, because it came out first and the continuity doesn't make sense. So
Wait, what came out first?
The next comic from Chaos Comics that links Curse to H2O came out before
okay.
Resurrection.
Okay.
So
What is the first one, Link?
the first one is Halloween Sam.
Yeah, but I'm Halloween Sam, and I'm going to link all the movies, or I'm Halloween Sam, and I'm only going to link 1, 2, and 7.
Halloween Sam, I think it links 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Of the Halloween franchise, this is one of the few I have any childhood memories about. The first one I saw when I was 5 with my uncle, and this one I saw the end of when my parents were watching it on pay-per-view. My memory was 10 times better than this movie actually is.
Yeah, welcome to adulthood.
Speaking of which, there's a decent cast. I'm not talking about the 90s kids. I'm not talking about Josh Hartnett, who I actually like. I know you hate him.
Josh Hartnett. No, I don't. I don't hate Josh Hartnett. I thought he was great in Penny Dreadful.
He was in Penny Dreadful, really?
Yeah, he was the cowboy. He was Did you watch it?
No, I haven't.
Oh, the first season's great. The second season is meh. The third season is even more meh. And be prepared to not have like a good ending, because they said they planned to do it in 3 seasons, but they definitely planned a 4th. And they just introduced stuff that they never close out, and it sucks.
You know, I got as far as that one girl like getting possessed and masturbating, and I was like, I'm done.
Yeah. I mean, there's not a whole lot of that. It definitely tries to be like super edgy, but I'm okay with it in this because it's and we should do this in a real episode eventually, but it is kind of playing with the whole repressed Victorian thing. So I get why they'd include, I mean, it's a little bit edgy.
I really love Adam Arkin, who plays Jamie Lee's love interest. Also the son of Alan Arkin. In fact, I like him so much that I had to turn this movie off and watch Full Moon High instead, just to get away from this movie. And then I came back and watched it. Oh, it's so cheesy. It's a fun little, like, werewolf movie. He plays a teenager who gets bitten by a werewolf when he goes on holiday in Romania with his father, played by Ed McMahon, who pretends he's a super spy, but is actually just trying to bring Russian prostitutes home. And it's funny.
That sounds very interesting.
It's a charming little movie. At any rate, Alan Arkin plays a psychotic psychiatrist who comes from a school of, like, criticizing and insulting his patients, and it's great. Anyway,
I thought you were back to H2O, and I'm like, wait, he was insulting and psychotic in this? What did I not watch the director's cut? I was very confused.
So I watched that and I came back to the movie. And then when I got back to the part with Adam Arkin again, I was like, oh, wait a minute, he was on Northern Exposure too. Then I had to focus on making myself finish this movie.
Oh, that was the theme of the last 2 weeks. It took me 2 sittings to get through H2O, or do we call it H20?
And obviously the jump scares are getting dumber and dumber.
Mm-hmm. I will say I did like that girl's death at the dumbwaiter. I don't know.
I think the physical effects were simple and decent. I didn't mind the deaths. The opening with the exposition and the cops, though, as if we don't already know who Michael Myers is, the cops have to go into detail explaining everything about him.
Yeah, they do the same thing in Resurrection, but sort of.
It's not necessary.
It's not. I think the biggest sin that this movie committed to me personally is that this was a big deal. This was the 20th anniversary of Halloween, right? This is 98. First one was released in 78. Like, this was supposed to be this big deal that was supposed to revitalize everything and bring it all into a new generation. And they just put out this trash cash grab movie starring a couple people that were famous back in the day, like Janet Leigh, which is cool. It was nice to see her again. Mm-hmm.
There was a cool little reference with her car from Psycho.
Mm-hmm. And adding Josh Hartnett and trying to bring it to a next generation. Like, I'm not worried about Halloween 2018 doing the same thing, but because H2O pulled the sort of trust for the franchise out of me, I'm still apprehensive about Halloween 2018, or should I call it H2018? Yeah. H8. Like, I don't know. This movie messed me up on a personal.
I have the opposite feeling. I feel like it can't get worse than Resurrection, so the new one's probably going to be amazing in comparison.
Yeah, nothing can get worse than Resurrection.
So 90s. And I've mentioned how some movies we've watched have been very typical of their decade before. You didn't really recognize the 90s until they were over with, but oh boy, do I recognize the 90s now. In fact, sure. I actually have a list of titles that would have been far more appropriate and sensible than H2O. Are you ready for them?
Nope. Hit me with them.
Halloween, Party of Michael. Halloween, Michael's Creek. Haddonfield, 9021 Michael.
Hey, watch it. I was a big 90210 fan.
And Michael Watch. Now get this. I kept thinking when I was watching this looks like half of it was like a 90s teen melodrama television show. Like some of the drama and the relationship issues to such an insane degree. And then I looked into the director. So Steve Miner directed. And what's weird is that he also worked on Friday the 13th Part 2 and 3, which are awesome. And Warlock. And House. And ladies and gentlemen, Hollywood's greatest cinematic achievement, Soul Man.
Oh, no, Maddie. Never evoke Soul Man. Never.
If you say it 3 times, you look in the mirror and you have blackface on. And you start singing Mammy.
Oh, no.
And also he directed a few episodes of Dawson's Creek. So, there you go.
Hey, Dawson's Creek was pretty dope, too. They actually did a really good Halloween episode back in the day. I believe it was called The Scare. I do recommend you watch it.
You gotta admit, there's definitely shades of Dawson's Creek in this movie.
Oh, that's what drives me nuts. Like, they're obviously, like, trying to bring this next generation in the totally wrong way. Like, they're trying to do this bad teen drama when teen drama was kind of in a weird place. It was sort of shifting in the late 90s, early aughts. So they're trying to keep doing the same things they did in these old teen dramas, but that was already dead. Plus mixing it in with all these sort of vintage actors and actresses and just screwing everything up and making everything terrible and ruining my life.
You know, there was actually a big fight about The Mask with the studio. They absolutely hated The Mask. They hated The Mask so much that they wanted all of the scenes to be reshot with a new mask. I hated The Mask in every sequence, no matter what scene it was. The Mask in this movie sucked. And
it's chubbier, right? Like, it's a chubby Shatner.
It's kind of weird, yeah. And because of all of those reshoots with 4 different damn masks, by the way, they took too much time. And the continuity, if you're paying attention to the mask, is actually really painful between scenes. And speaking of bad mask scenes, that reference to the first film where she's looking through the window, we did not need to see that stupid overlay of Michael over the panel. You would have already, if you were a fan of Halloween, you would have recognized that sequence. You didn't need that. You didn't need that at all.
Well, this is a recurring theme in these two movies. They keep doing shout outs to older films. I didn't take notes. This isn't actually in my thing. Even in Resurrection, they did like a roof scene that was reminiscent of the roof scene in 4. And you just don't need to. Yeah, I don't know.
References should be subtle and clever enough to get your attention.
Right.
But not so much that you're like, okay, I get it. All right, I get it. I get it. End it now. And that's how I kind of felt about every reference in this film.
Yeah. I had absolutely no use for that weird LL Cool J writing a sex novel subplot, too. Like, that was just unnecessary bad comedy. No. I mean, maybe if the movie would have been better, I would have been okay with it. But this was so bad that it just pissed me off even more.
I thought it was a nice break from the rest of the really crappy movie. But I do agree with his wife. His prose really needed some work, and some of the phrases he used were what you find in strict erotica and not romance. There is a difference.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I found it charming that I thought it was funny that he was so passionate about it. It wasn't just about writing sex scenes for him. It was his dream.
And how did we get a LL Cool J movie without a custom rap song about the movie? Like, I mean, he did that weird rap about from the point of view of the shark for Deep Blue Sea. Like, why didn't he get to do a rap for this one? Like, didn't Busta get to do a rap for Resurrection?
And now I just have this mental image of Jamie Lee Curtis putting her sunglasses on and saying, "We've got to get the team back together." And then eventually she gets to LL Cool J. He's soldering a truck or something, and then he looks up at her, and then there's a few gray and blue flashes, and he starts singing the song.
Just do 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 do. I just want to hear LL Cool J do that.
Corey, can you give me an example of what some of the lyrics might be?
You want me to rap about Michael? No, I can't rap.
From the perspective of LL Cool J.
From the perspective of LL Cool J as the security guard dealing with Michael Myers?
Sure, if you feel that's the creative angle he would take.
I don't feel there is any possible way that I can do this.
I think you can.
No, I honestly, I have no problem making a fool out of myself for this show, but I really don't think I can do it, especially in the style of LL Cool J. Like, do I go with the sexy LL Cool J of the early 90s, or do I go for the more angry LL Cool J of the mid 90s? I might have backwards because I'm not a huge LL Cool J fan.
Well, let's go with something like 97 when this movie came out. For instance, I'm looking up the lyrics right now from Nobody Can Freak You. Something like, come on, nobody, you want to do this again? You sure? Keep it right there. Yeah. A lime to a lemon, a lemon to a lime, and then throw in some Michael references there.
Yeah, I'm not going to do that. Okay, so get the fuck out of here. I'm Michael, soaking wet with Laurie Strode in the private school. I'm Michael. Like, yeah, I can't rap. See?
Okay.
But, like, that's kind of how LL Cool J would do it, right? Get the fuck out of here. I'm Michael, soaking wet with Laurie Strode in the private school. Maddie, that's her brother. How could you write that? You know what soaking wet means.
Well, there's probably a pool at that private school.
That's not...
She's sweating a lot because she's running from him. You're the one who's making this sexual, sir.
No, I know enough about LL Cool J to know that he's the one who did this.
Yeah, but it's Michael. He's not LL Cool J.
Now I don't know who I am anymore. Am I LL Cool J singing about Michael? Am I Michael singing about LL Cool J?
You're Michael singing about Laurie Strode soaking wet in the private.
You've somehow ruined this movie even more for me.
I feel like someone who's not much of a movie watcher, and especially not a horror fan, might have thought the bathroom scene in this was okay. Personally, I found it a little predictable.
Bathroom scene.
When Michael's living in that, like, bathroom and the mom takes her little girl there.
Oh, right, where the mom is driving the scariest truck on the planet just so Michael can have a cool, scary truck later in the movie.
Mm-hmm. That little girl in the bathroom is Kyle Richards of Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, apparently.
Huh. Oh, you know what? Speaking of cameos in this, Joseph Gordon-Levitt. I believe this was his debut performance as a little fella who got a hockey skate through his face.
Now let's talk about functional alcoholics. Well,
so ourselves?
Shut up. What do you define as a functional alcoholic?
Someone who drinks way more than they should, but still manages to get up sober for work in the morning.
So, do you feel if someone...
Well, it depends on the job. Like, because I am a functional alcoholic that works with my hands, that's what it is for me. Like, I would never go to work drunk. But if you work at a Catholic private school and you have access to unlimited mints and or mouthwash, you can pretty much drink whenever you want, as long as you can keep your composure.
Well, here's the thing. She's got a cabinet of pills. She's guzzling half of a bottle of vodka at night. Every night, it looks like. She's double fisting her Chardonnay at lunch, yet somehow walking straight, no slurring, not even a hint of any impact on her health or body. I feel like functional alcoholism is maybe 2 to 3 drinks every day with a hint of subtle but major impacts on your life over the long run. It's not mainlining Everclear. And they really don't show any effects of her drinking at all. Like, none whatsoever.
I do really like that scene when she orders the wine and, like, throws shade at the waiter because he's judging her.
Yeah, well, it's kind of heavy-handed melodrama there.
Yeah, I liked it, though. I thought it was funny.
And also...
Which is not what I should have thought about that scene. I should have been like, oh, poor Lori and her PTSD. Poor Lori and her PTSD. But I didn't feel that at all. I just giggled.
Yeah, somehow she's functional enough to be in charge of a private school and raise her son alone.
Mm-hmm. Well, I feel like I could probably handle that and drink as much as her.
Don't you think she looks a little too healthy to be a massive alcoholic like she's being demonstrated on the screen?
Well, I guess for her age, yeah. Because she's, what, in her late 40s by then?
Yeah, I think so. I also think, like, she had no reason to allow her son to go on that trip. He was being a dick the whole time to her, even when he was joking. And he even talked shit about her to his friends, saying, oh, she's a functional alcoholic. There's no reason she should have ever lightened up on him. He was being a jerk the whole film.
He was a very disappointing son. I would have definitely stuck with Jamie. Much better kid.
Now, the cinematography was decent. Like, again, the Michael overlay shot at the window was stupid, but... And
the one-handed pull-up was stupid.
Yeah. But you know what? Going back to John Waters' point, if I had focused on any lamps, this movie would have been incredible. So when you watch this, just think about lamps.
Or don't watch it. That's okay, too.
Look, at least someone was terrified when they watched this movie. Jamie Lee Curtis doing her commentary. God bless you, Jamie. She was terrified.
Why?
Because she can't watch horror films. If you'd, seriously, any of the commentary she's done, she's like, I can't watch this scene. Oh, this is so scary. And she does that again and again. Now, I was trying to figure out why some of the music in this was so familiar. So get this. They used some track samples from Scream 1 and 2 and Mimic to supplement the original track by John Ottoman because the chief of Dimension Films, Bob Weinstein, hated the basic score that much.
The piano? Nobody hates that.
Well, Bob Weinstein hated it.
Oh, I hate producers and production companies. They're all morons.
So they ended up with this whole soundtrack that just sounded so painfully generic. And this movie is also a clear example of why Rotten Tomatoes isn't always reliable. They score this as one of the best sequels. There's also an article on IGN that agrees and claims that it subverted the slasher genre. I'm struggling to understand why anyone would think this at all.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it was the time. Maybe I'm just forgetting, what people were like 20 years ago. I don't know.
Well, if anything at the time had subverted the slasher genre, it would have been Scream. Maybe Urban Legend, but not Halloween H20.
No, definitely not. I mean, just everything about it screams cash grab. Josh Hart. Was this before Faculty?
This was his first. This was his debut.
Oh, so it was right before Faculty.
Mm-hmm.
And I just feel like these last two were just trying to ride the coattails on genres that were either on their way out or just weren't that good to start with. Mm-hmm. So yeah, any reviewers that say this movie was good, they're dumb.
Yeah, and they probably haven't even watched the other sequels.
Well, I don't know. I feel like the only people who saw these movies were people who saw the other ones. But I guess, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong.
Hey, that guy still hasn't come back with the beer. What's going on down there?
Oh, he's dead.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh my God, you're stabbing me. Oh yeah, you're right. It sounds like he's dead now.
Yeah. Oh, I should have probably checked his pulse instead of just kicking him and poking him with a stick.
I wonder who killed him.
It could be a number of people at this point.
Satan?
Yeah.
No, I'm accusing you. Did you kill him?
No, that's not really my thing. I get them after they're already dead.
Well,
it wasn't us either. We didn't do it.
Okay then. Jim.
We're gonna go to the other room now.
Why are you going?
Because we have to talk. We'll be back. Goodbye.
Oh, that was a weird exit line. Jim, did...
Yeah, they were a little off tonight. I don't know.
Jim, did you kill him?
Did I do what?
Did you kill our delivery guy? Did you kill generic Steve the body count guy?
I've been right here next to Corey all night.
It's true, Maddie. He's not left my side.
We'll get back to this murder scene later. We've got to focus on the next movie.
Are you Googling how to hide a body? Because I think that probably falls to us now.
I'm looking at the trailer.
Tomorrow night, you will enter the childhood home of our most brutal mass murderer. The home has been rigged up with several cameras, but for the most part, the audience will see...
That's like Fear Factor meets Big Brother.
Friends.
Mm-hmm. Are you sure they're not just putting
meets
us in some
everything
house with
else
hidden cameras in the shower?
This is gonna be fun.
Have been offered fame and fortune.
You know, I just watched this today and I don't even remember.
All they need to do.
All the windows will be boarded up and all the doors will be locked shut behind them. No one will be allowed to leave until the show is over.
You stay the night.
Let the dangertainment begin.
Now,
I think this is the one that he used to do his thing.
The webcast is live.
One flash and you could light up 1,000 computer screens.
You are like this close to getting voted off the island.
The stage
it took
set.
Katie Sackhoff another 15 years to actually lift her boat.
Whoa!
It's all fake. We've been set up.
I'm only trying to give America a good show.
But the house
Wait, what just happened? We just lost Bill's
This doesn't
camera.
look like a Halloween movie at all.
Mm-mm.
There's somebody in the hall.
He is. This summer,
Why summer?
evil comes home.
Trick or treat.
Kung Fu. This one does have some pretty good deaths.
Hello, Michael. I knew you'd come sooner or later. What took you so long?
So misleading. So misleading.
Why is it coming in July?
Yeah, this got a July release, dude, because they thought it was going to be this huge thing.
Why wouldn't you release Halloween around Halloween?
Because they thought this was going to be like the next big thing, because people are insane.
Well, just before you get into it, I've got to say one major thing.
Okay.
That kid who's the pen pal, Ryan Merriman, was in...
Yeah, I named him Catfish because I didn't learn anybody's names in this movie. He's called Catfish.
Well, he was in Luck of the Irish, and when I was 12, I had a huge crush on him.
I haven't seen that movie.
Oh, it's a made-for-TV Disney movie. It's great. All right, moving on to the movie.
So I hadn't watched that trailer until just now, and the fact that they pulled that Jamie Lee Curtis thing at the end, like she was going to come in and save the day, and did what they did to her character, which I'm going to come back to. Oh, that makes me so angry. Like they just took years of brilliant characterization and destroyed it. But we'll get to that.
Listen, kid, I know a thing or two about scary movies. All you need is creepy dolls, clown masks, mental hospitals, and teenagers. Lots of teenagers. Break the door like Shining, and you've got a hit.
Generally, Mr. Producer Man, you're not wrong, but they failed miserably in that.
What, you want more Michael? I'll give you more Michael. You can have plenty of Michael.
Michael wasn't even the final... Oh, and we'll get to that too, but Michael wasn't even the final... scary thing. Everything.
Tell you what, I'll give you 2 Michaels at once, and I'll even have Busta Rhymes yell at the screen. What do you think about that? Huh?
We'll give you some kung fu. Katie Sackhoff, if you lift your shirt, I'll put you in the pictures. Anyway, so finally, the movie / reality TV / found footage Halloween film everyone was asking for. Halloween Resurrection. This movie is just aping on everything that was cool at the time. And it fails in everything. And I'm just going to stick to my notes because I'm starting to get irritated already. So I think this is probably the worst Halloween movie ever made. It's terrible, right? Like, we're not denying it's pretty much across the board terrible with the exception of some deaths.
You know, it helps me to truly understand why part 3 is so well loved.
I mean, like, compared to the last 2, it's very obvious because at least they tried something. At least that movie was made with possibly misguided love, but love nonetheless.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? This was not made with anything but dollar signs in eyes. So I tried to watch Rosenthal, the director, who also directed 2. I tried to watch his commentary. I didn't get through it, but I did find out that Jamie Lee Curtis apparently wanted to do this role, according to him. But she wanted to play it like she was dealing with this guilt of what happened at the end of H20.
Mm-hmm.
The whole end scene of H20 wasn't Michael. He crushes an EMT's windpipe, puts his mask on, walks off into the woods, puts this dude in the car. So that entire end scene, Jamie Lee Curtis decapitates the wrong dude. And she's so guilty that she goes and locks herself up in this mental institution. But she isn't taking her pills. She's hiding it in her little dolly, which whatever.
Can I point something out really quick that I was reading on the Wikipedia about this?
Sure.
About the continuity about that. It made no sense whatsoever because, number one, the paramedic could have taken off the mask the whole time to prove he wasn't Michael.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Number 2, he wouldn't be attacking Lori during the ride in the van.
Right.
And number 3, a normal person wouldn't have survived being thrown out of a vehicle and then hit and crushed by one.
people have survived some weird stuff. But you're right. You're generally right. So yeah, they kill off Jamie Lee Curtis in the first 15. I think it comes at like 15 minutes and 30 seconds. I was trying to time it, but I just stopped caring. Like it happens before the 20-minute mark. Michael Myers invades this mental institution where Laurie is now locked up. He kills a couple of security guards and he has a brief fight with her before she traps him upside down by this like winch system on the roof of the loony bin. Mm-hmm. But her guilt seems to take control of her and she needs to see, even if this isn't Michael, this dude's trying to kill her, but before she kills this guy in self-defense, she needs to make sure it's her brother. So she goes up to take off his mask and he flips her off the roof and stabs her and Jamie Lee Curtis, Laurie Strode is dead. And that is terrible.
Can we talk about how lazy the intro is too? So a nurse...
I've already forgotten it.
Yeah, the nurse coming into the hospital, the new nurse, as the older nurse bitterly tells her about Laurie's story briefly. I mean, she just tells her about it, and she's like, oh, that's terrible, da-da-da-da-da. But, like, even that was so bland. I kept thinking to myself, it would have been better if that introduction was in a dimly lit room, at least. Or if the bitter old nurse had been smoking a cigarette with yellowed fingertips just as the cigarette hung between her lips. You know, it's just... something, but there was no style whatsoever. That's why it's forgettable.
Yeah, and that's not even all the exposition we get. As Michael's leaving, he gives his butcher knife to this institution's resident serial killer groupie, which I assume giving him this knife frames him for all the murders, which is why nobody was chasing Michael on his trip home.
I also think he's a pretty offensive depiction of autistic people.
Oh, very much so. But poor Harold, the serial killer fan, is then... briefly the narrator. Like, he gives us exposition about everything everybody already should know. If you're watching this movie, there's no way you don't already know this stuff. And there's no reason to be watching this movie if you haven't seen all the other ones, because, I don't know. So bad.
His Gacy fact is also inaccurate, because Gacy killed 34 people, not 33.
Not really?
Yeah.
I always hear 33. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
Well, you probably heard it from this movie.
Could be. But yeah, poor Harold and his pointless existence. Michael then goes off on his merry way to eat rats in the basement of his childhood home, which is now old and decrepit and about to be the setting for a new reality show because it's 2002 and these things weren't really played out yet.
You know, it's so frustrating because, like, the family connection with Laurie was the last grain of something interesting still left in this series.
Right, and they just wasted it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, even if they just would have flipped the script like they did in the trailer and had Laurie come in at the end to, like, save the day and kill herself off, I can get down with that. I still wouldn't have liked the movie, but I would have liked that Jamie went out a little tougher instead of this guilt-ridden shell of a woman trapped in a mental institution for the last 4 years.
I might have even been okay if they brought her son back or something, some link to the Myers name, but without a Strode or a Myers or a Loomis.
What's the point?
Exactly. At that point, he's not this spirit of evil. He's just a killing machine.
So now it's time to go to college to meet our new, young, sexy, boring, irritating, completely unacceptable cast. Like, for real, they're the worst.
Oh, I want all of these kids dead more than the last one.
Yeah, it sucks though, because I really like some of these actors. You've got Busta Rhymes. Busta Rhymes is awesome. Like, I've always been a Busta Rhymes fan. You've got Katie Sackhoff from Battlestar Galactica and the last Riddick movie, which I love her too. And Luke Kirby, who isn't like super well known, but he played a lawyer in this TV show called Rectify, and he was really, really good in it. But he's just this greasy leather jacket wearing college bro in this, and I hate yeah, pretty much. And he is dressed like him too, yeah. So yeah, I hate them all here, and I'm excited to watch them all die. And does Katie Sackhoff, like, I don't know, are you familiar with Battlestar Galactica or any of her other things?
I've seen a little bit of Battlestar Galactica. Couldn't get into it, but I've seen some.
Like, I'm wondering if, like, the amount she's, like, sticking her tongue out and licking her teeth, I wonder if that was, like, a character choice or if that's, like, a nervous thing she did because she was a newer actress back then. But I don't really care, so we can just move on from that.
All I know is I actually have a list here of movies I do not like that this movie made me want to watch instead.
Go for it.
Wolf. Halloween 3, again. Demonic Toys. Nightmare on Elm Street 6. Birdemic. The Room. Troll. Jaws 3D. And all of these films would have been better than Resurrection.
I like that you pronounced correctly instead of that snake movie. So I will give this movie a few things here and there, but I'm really reaching to pull them out. So there's a pretty hilarious Harbinger character. He overhears the girls in their dorm room, whose names I don't remember. I gave them nicknames later, but we'll get to that. And he tells them about the Meyer house and then like creepily touches their underwear that's like hanging up to dry. I don't know any girls that hung their underwear like just by their door in the dorms to dry.
Yeah,
Don't
that's
most
weird.
people? Yeah, it's weird. But yeah, he does this and then he makes this weird horror noise and like wanders back out of the room. It may be the last non-death related thing I like about this movie.
I guess the pacing was okay. It was faster than the last one, which was like
Oh, that's true.
drag until the last 10 minutes.
So since I don't know any of their names and I didn't care enough in my 2 watchings to remember them, I'm going to give the people who matter, quote, matter, nicknames throughout this discussion. The girl who is definitely going to survive, that you know is going to survive from the beginning, we're going to call her the survivor. And there's a high school boy that's been catfishing the survivor. He's kind of a stand-in for the audience. In fact, his whole party that we'll get into later, this is all very important to the plot. Well, as important as anything in this movie is. So, okay, here's the rest of the cast. We've got Survivor, like I said, Leather Jacket Guy, the chef, Katie Sackhoff, Busta, Tira, Fancy Pants, and the women's studies major. In the scene where they're like introducing them, they're all doing their pre-reality TV interviews. They all just say something smart about murderers, and then off we go to the next scene. It's So somewhere along here, we get to Busta's hotel room, and we learn that he really likes Kung Fu. This too will be important later. Also, he talks to himself a lot and only has one sideburn, and this will never be important, ever.
I gotta say, why would anyone bother, especially at this point in time, to do a movie about a bunch of people in a scary house overnight after House on Haunted Hill? It was such a perfect movie that, I mean... Yeah,
I don't know. It can still be done.
Yeah, but, like, they definitely didn't measure up to it.
No, for sure. I mean, Hell House LLC, is that what it was called?
Well, yeah, but that's a found footage film that was done recently. I mean,
yeah, but it was really good.
2001, House on Haunted Hill would have been still fresh in everyone's minds.
Good point. And that was around 13 Ghosts time, too, wasn't it?
Yeah, which was also produced by William Castle's daughter as well.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, a lot of people hate that movie, but I really dug it. Anyway, so the survivor tries to drop out of the production. Did I mention? Yeah, we mentioned there it's a reality show. See, I'm so bored with this that I'm already forgetting what we've mentioned about this.
It's like Big Brother and Fear Factor.
Yeah, so Busta takes a break from his Kung Fu watching to talk her into staying, and then all the girls go shopping because that's where we're at, apparently, in 2002. Catfish is supposed to go to some party, but he wants to stay home and watch/stalk Survivor. But he's then talked into going by his dumb friend, which will be important later. All the main cast get body cameras and are told the house is full of cameras, lots of cameras everywhere, and the viewers can switch them at will. Our cast is then encouraged to act up to get more screen time. This is all so real, oddly enough. Like, this. Okay, I'll give the movie this too. This is predicting scripted reality kind of before scripted reality was quite as big as it was. You know what I mean? You could still find some actual reality TV back then. Not that that's a good or bad thing. It's just a thing. So a cameraman gets stabbed with his tripod because Tira isn't paying attention. She's right there, and there are a million monitors, and she misses it because she's making a fancy coffee drink. I hate her, and I hate the character choice of her always having like a little snack or something quirky. So stupid. Then there's a press conference, and Busta does some speeching, and our cast heads inside. They all split up and investigate the house, not realizing that everything there has to be a setup because a 20-year-old murder house would be stripped of all evidence way before they get there.
So the part where they play that trick and the wall explodes, I really did think it was going to be Michael again, and I thought, is he turning into Mr. Kool-Aid?
He does bust through a lot of stuff in this movie.
Yeah.
Oh, God, going back to, like, old Moni Michael from the first one. It would be terrible.
It kind of sounds like Busta Rhymes singing, if you think about it.
Yeah, kind of. Although with less talent. So we then get to the high school party where Catfish finds a computer and logs in to further stalk Survivor. He's catfishing her because he's in high school and she's in college, and she doesn't know this. Anyway, he eventually attracts a crowd of partygoers, and they all watch because this must have been the worst party in the history of parties. Like, I was that age at this time. Well, I was in my 20s, so I would have been as old as the college students. But even when I was at a party, if someone would be like, "Hey, we're going to watch this," you know what? No, that's not true. As soon as I found out people were actually being murdered, I totally would have watched that show. But he collected this crowd before anybody was getting murdered, when they still thought it was fake. So that's just stupid. And I hate everybody. I hate everything.
This is just a generic party horror slasher film that they slapped Michael into.
Yeah.
They probably took a script that was floating around, and then they had someone write 1 or 2 scenes into it. One scene with Laurie Strode, and then a little bit of Michael.
Yeah, this definitely got the Halloween treatment. Or not Halloween. Well, this definitely got the Hellraiser treatment at one point. That's how all those sequels exist. So this is pretty much all that happens until Michael actually starts doing murders. And Catfish and the partygoers realize this, and eventually they're going to try and help the survivor survive, but we're not quite there yet. Fancy Pants gets killed first. And I call him Fancy Pants because he's wearing khaki. So, and it's not even his pants. It's like his jacket anyway. So Michael jumps out of a mirror and stabs him. I don't miss him. He was useless. They're all useless. They're all terrible. Leather jacket guy and the women's studies major find a hidey hole in the basement, like we were just talking about, while all the other characters find out that this is mostly fake and realize that Fancy Pants is missing. They head down and foreplay themselves through a wall. And there are a bunch of fake corpses, and they're terrified until they also realize that this is all fake. Then Busta, dressed as Michael, briefly gets stalked by Michael, assumes it's his missing cameraman, and scolds him loudly and beratedly, which was kind of funny too. And then he tells Michael to leave, and Michael does.
I left the door unlocked. She's in there with the door unlocked.
Yeah. Well, I thought that was kind of weird until I realized that, he's going to kill Tira off screen. I get it. And I wonder if she got killed off screen because she didn't want to get covered in fake blood. I feel like Tira is somebody who would want to get covered in fake blood.
I'm sorry, this is kind of getting on my nerves. It's Tyra?
It's my nickname. We're going to go with Tira. Luke Kirby's name is not Leather Jacket Guy, but I'm calling him that. Anyway, so Tira dies off camera. I just feel like
we should pay more respect to one of the greatest supermodels of our day.
Never before have you said a sentence that I felt as neutral about as that one. So Leather Jacket and Women's Studies find another hidey hole behind the fake wall, and this is actually where Michael's been living. He eats rats, maybe dogs. There's some big bones down there, and he stabs dolls with nails. So you know what you do when you're waiting for people to come to your house.
What's with the weird doll motif that wasn't in any of the other movies?
Yeah, I don't know. I tried to figure out, and I tried to rack my brain to think if maybe there was some kind of doll that, because they are they do all these dumb homages to, homages. Homages? Homage? Homage. So this is full of callbacks to movies but yeah, I don't remember dolls. I don't know. Maybe I missed something. Who knows?
Poltergeist, maybe? I don't know.
Maybe. So Women's Studies gets impaled, and Catfish then realizes for sure that this is real. He's like, oh, she definitely died. But the party that represents the audience still isn't totally sure. So Katie Sackhoff and the chef are doing bong hits. Survivor reads a book. And she sees Michael, goes and gets the chef, and beats up Busta because he's dressed up as Michael.
And I gotta say this, I'm sorry to bring up Nightmare on Elm Street again, but even that ridiculous scene in part 4 where he in Visa karate fought Freddy, that was still better than this karate battle.
I agree, but we're not there yet. We're not to the kung fu yet.
Oh my god.
Busta was so big at that point, it wouldn't surprise me if his entire role was just Busta being like, you know what? I'm going to do this. Like, I'm pretty sure that's what happened here. And Busta can do what Busta wants to do. Busta is one of the most innovating rappers of the 90s, early aughts. Like, dude is amazing. So they again mention that none of this is real. It's all a setup, we know, except for it's not, because Michael's impaling women's studies majors. Busta does make a really good point about reality TV somewhere in here, though. America doesn't want reality. They want drama. They want scripted reality. And he reminds them that they are all going to get paid and they need to toe the line, and then wanders off to continue being Michael. Katie Sackhoff.
And you let me continue to live out my fantasy of role playing.
Pretty much. That was kind of how he was rolling about that, which was cool.
Who wants to be in a room alone with Tyra Banks when I can walk around pretending to stab teenagers?
Excuse me, this is my segment, and her name is Tira. Katie Sackhoff has the honor of finding the first corpse. She then gets her head cut off, which is kind of cool. Her head gets cut off. It rolls down the stairs. All of her friends see it. So now we're all understanding that this is now definitely real, and we will be staying in the realm of real murder in the house for the rest of the movie. Then Leather Jacket Guy gets his head squeezed to death.
Which is actually a really nice little moment. Reminds me of Jason.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I liked it too. Michael tries to kill the survivor, but he has a short attention span and then chases the chef just because the chef is like, hey, Michael, come here, try me. The chef makes some food jokes, throws spices at Michael, then tries to challenge Michael to a double knife fight. This goes poorly, and chef gets double stabbed into a door.
It kind of sucks because he was one of the few minor characters I liked.
Again, like, they all had this annoying thing, though. Like, he's like, oh, killers wouldn't be killers if they ate more protein. Vegetarians are dumb, blah, blah, blah. Like, this is all super annoying to me.
Are you a vegetarian?
No, but I don't eat a lot of meat, and I don't like it when characters get one thing. You know what I mean? Like, give them more to do. You've got an hour and a half to fill. They don't have to be one-dimensional or, like, greasy bros or, like, fancy pants.
Yeah, these are all character templates. They're not real people.
Yeah, not at all. So Catfish actually calls 911, but nobody believes him. Nobody in Haddonfield, Illinois believes him when he calls to tell them that Michael Myers is killing people. You'd think at this point it's federal law that if somebody calls about Michael Myers, you go check.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, I mean, I guess it depends on the continuity. This could be only the fourth time he's murdered a bunch of people.
Yeah, only but the still, fourth.
4 times is a lot.
And so they're also in his old house.
Yeah. Yeah, nobody believes him, so Catfish and the party start helping Survivor by texting her on her Palm Pilot. This wasn't even like text messaging. This was her little, like, internet device.
So kind of at the time, that would have been an interesting little approach to use.
Yeah, I mean, I had one of those. It's a little hard to believe that she would be on the Wi-Fi signal. No, not necessarily, because this is 2002. Chances are it would have been an unsecured Wi-Fi network. So yeah, it makes sense she has internet. I'll allow it. Besides, Tira was obviously a whiz at the internet. I just wanted to say Tira again because I know it's bothering you.
Well, it's just, you know, I'm being respectful of Busta Rhymes. I would appreciate it if you were respectful of one Tira. Of my idols.
So Busta gets thrown around by Michael a little bit before going full-on kung fu and roundhouse kicking the shit out of Michael while Survivor tries to choke him with a camera. Then Busta kung fu's him out a window and hangs him. But wait, there's more. Catfish alerts them that Michael isn't dead yet. Then Busta gets stabbed. A chase ensues all the way through the basement, past a couple of bodies, and they end up in the garage/control room where we get an homage, callback, to the director's previous installment to the series, Halloween 2, where the dumb EMT slips on the blood and falls. In this one, it's Survivor that falls, but doesn't get quite as broken and is able to continue to fight Michael when the EMT just kind of died in a car. So Survivor finds a chainsaw and gets a little bit of revenge, cuts him up a little bit, then runs out of gas, and a fire starts, and some explosions happened. Survivor and Michael fall over. He gets up. She is trapped under wires, and Busta saves the day with the worst one-liner ever.
trick or treat, motherfucker.
So he then hits Michael with a shovel, does more kung fu, gets knocked back, and I wish I was kidding here, shocks Michael's testicles with some cables, which then knock Michael back into a bunch of wires, and then he gets shocked again through the blood, which takes him out of the game entirely now. Michael is done at this point. Mm-hmm. It's now Busta and Survivor against fire. So they escape, Michael melts a little bit, and the Myers house burns to rubble. It's gone. Sarah thanks Catfish on the news, and he then becomes popular. Everybody loves him. Busta monologues a little bit more, and we cut to the morgue where Michael opens his eyes, hinting at another sequel. Mm-hmm. Moral of the story, Maddie. There's a moral to this one. And this is important for our children listeners to hear, I think. You ready for it?
Yes.
So the moral is stalking is okay. This is made clear in a deleted scene where instead of Busta saving Survivor, Catfish is actually the one to pull her out of the fire. So as long as you save your stalking victim, totally chill.
You know, I actually have another moral I got out of this too. Would you like to hear that as well?
Oh, I would love to.
Stop watching at part 6.
Thank you for including part 6. You know what? I recant everything I said earlier. Her name is Tyra because you accepted 6 into your canon.
You know, I honestly, after watching this, I want to formally apologize to Paul Rudd. Paul Rudd, I'm sorry.
Paul Rudd, call me. I'm sure he forgives you. Paul Rudd seems like a really nice guy.
Yeah, him and Scott Valentine must be pretty chill.
For sure. So luckily, by the time you guys are listening to this episode, this movie never happened. In fact, nothing but 1 and Halloween 2018 have happened, and everything else was just a bad alternative universe memory. Man, I hope the new one is good.
We'll tell you.
Yeah, we will definitely tell you in a mini-sode. I don't know why I just repeated everything you said like a toady. That was weird.
But you know what? I kind of do get why Busta Rhymes does karate in this movie.
Why?
Busta Rhymes. He busts people's asses with his karate. Busta.
Wow, you really reached for that one. I appreciate your attempt. But wouldn't it be Busta Kung Fu then? Because busting rhymes is different than like busting people up. Busting ass.
So.
And we've totally lost the plot. Guys, I'm so sorry you have to listen to us talk about these movies.
If you want to find our blog, you can track us down at Hallow-Holic.blogspot.com or Hallow-Holic.wordpress.com.
You could also share tweets with us at Nowhere23 or by searching Twitter for Hallow-Holics Anonymous.
You can email us at hallowholics@outlook.com.
We also exist in a place called Podpedia. You can search our portal at HHA, and they force me to say that.
If any of you listeners would like to help us with the Podpedia, because I am way behind in updating it, just let me know.
Or requesting episodes, that would be cool. I'd really like you guys to dare us to watch the worst movies you can come up with.
So I just noticed that Satan, Jim, all of the gremlins, and the teacher are lying down in the ground in pools of their own blood with knives sticking out of them, and I actually have a knife jutting out of my stomach right now.
Yeah, that's funny you say that, because I think that I'm bleeding fairly severely through a deep gash in my neck.
Oh my god, I think I know who did this.
It couldn't be.